guys, welcome again, and we're back with another standard deck tech, Brothers War Steel, with this newest set in the meta. And as we prepare for Pariksha All Will Be One, we have a few spoilers discussion on a previous video. You can check that one out. And for now, we're just going to see through this unique, we can say as unique, but I think this is already somewhat a part of a tier level metagame decks in the format. We call this one as the 5 core legends. Because of the legends, that means that almost all of the creatures added here are that of the legendary type. So with this division, I've decided to go with just the mana value, since we only have two categories in this one that are just lands and creatures, but the variance is only on the sideboard. We will check on why it was called legends, because of the mana fix with Plaza of Heroes. So this card from Dominaria United is once that can produce, add 1 mana of any color to cast a legendary spell, and also add mana of any color among legendary permanents you control. So that's another 2 types of mana fix in the third one, which also make it making this land very relevant in this deck. Is that you can also have to pay 3 generic tap and exile plus of heroes, target legendary creature gains hex proof and a destructible until end of turn. So another way to protect your creatures from spot removals is coming from this non-basic land. So this one is one of the main mana fix of this deck, and it's covered again by some of these non-basics, such as these Trilands. We also have Secluded Courtyard, probably naming human as the creature type, and the rest is just basically all of these Trilands from Capena. So we're going to start with one of the 1 mana cost of the deck with Ashnode Flesh Merchant. This is only 1 copy, but I think this is being tutored or some sort. Wherein this ability that whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, you will create a tap or stone token. Also, the bonus here is that you will have this ability to pay 5 generic and exile a creature card from your graveyard. You will be able to create a tap 3/3 colorless zombie artifact creature token. So one way to recycle all your creatures that may have been previously dealt with spot removals or mass removals is to be able to use Ashnode's ability to make them into 3/3 colorless zombie artifact creature token, which at the same time added to your board as a threat to finish out your games. So there's only one copy because of the utility and the late game plan of this card. Now we go with several 2-drops in the deck. You have Derek, Pious Apprentice. This is already a generic component of the expert deck, so it's not unusual to see this one in this build. So this ability that protect your graveyards from spot target spells and abilities, and at the same time it was also a lifelink and a disturb, or when you can also cast this one for this ability that whenever 1 or more creature cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, you will have to investigate by creating a clue token. This only triggers once this turn, but at the same time, these clues can be later on cracked to draw you a card, and also it becomes a 3/2 flying, and at the same time could be a good evasive threat in the deck. So 3 copies. We also have Hajar. It's just a 2/2 cast 3/3 with a solid drop for a 2-drop, but at the same time it has the ability that when you sacrifice it, legendary creatures you control gets +1/+0 and gain indestructible until end of turn. So one way to become a spot removal protection, and also get your other legendary creatures pump if needed for alpha strike or damage that be able to turn your opponent's life total into 0. So 4 copies of those. We also have Catilda, Donner Prime. This is just a protection from werewolves, but has this ability to make your human creatures have this ability to add mana of any color, and that means color of the creatures. The creatures' colors. So basically, you can wrap up several of your 2-drops or 3-drops into making to cast your bigger spells in the deck. And also a bonus in the late game is a good mana sink for this one is to add a counter on this creature you control by paying 4 generic, 1 green, and 1 white. And since it's to cost 1/1, at the same time it can also protect itself from werewolves. Example, we are facing some werewolf kind of archetype or tribal werewolves deck. It can basically hold him off with this ability of protection from werewolves. So 4 copies of those. And also we have Talia Guardian Traven, since Both this is just mostly creatures and lands. That means that non-creature spells would be beneficial to tax them with the Talia's passive ability. And also the first strike and a 2-1. So a good package for a 2-drop in this kind of build. So that means 4 copies of that in the deck. So that is for 15 2-drops. Next we check on the 8 3-drops of the deck. We have Adeline as Qatar, also a solid white legendary creature for base or white based aggro, and also can be very a good way to clock out your opponent, wherein its power is equal to the number of creatures you control and producing 1/1 white human creature tokens attacking whenever you attack on its turn. So, and also a good way to develop your board by its own, and a good clock and by turn 3 going forward for turn 4 and turn 5. So a good 3-drop for 3 copies. We also have 1 copy of Buena Isobia. This is a new card from Brothers War. So the ability of 2/3 tap to add 2 mana of combination of any colors. This would be used to cast creature spells or activate abilities of a creature card. So this goes with several cards that can wrap up your deck. For example, you can cast this one, your 4-drops, or going with Jodah for the 5-drop, and use Gwena's ability to do this mana fix on that card. So whenever you cast a creature spell with power 5 greater, also you will put a counter on this one, and that is a +1 counter, and also have Gwena on top. So they can basically untap and do another wrap and mana wrap for your creatures. So that is only 1 copy. Next, we have 1 copy also of Jaren, Corrupted Bishop. This ability that goes with the benefit of humans. When it enters a battlefield or another non-token human you control dies, you will lose 1 life and you will create a 1/1 white human creature token. So that benefits it for any spot removal, and also have a target human you control gain lifelink on the end of turn by paying its 2 generic mana. Then at the beginning of end step, if you exactly have 13 life, you may pay 6 to have Jaren transform into a 6/6 or Mendal the Corruptor. This is the legendary demon with flying, trample, lifelink ability, and have this ability that you can sacrifice another creature to draw a card. You can use those extra tokens that you can have those sacrificial to gain you some card advantage and refill your hand. So this one is might likely be a situational kind of ability, but if ever you would be able to pull this one out, that means that very way that you will not really lose that game by flipping into Ermendal the Corruptor. So 1 copy of that card. We also have Shanna Purifying Blade. This is a mythic from Dominaria United with the band colors. It is a 3/3 for lifelink, and at the beginning of your end step, if you can pay X, that is equal to the, or not greater to the amount of life you gain this turn, to be able for you to draw X cards. This is also a good way to replenish your hand. At the same time, you have several cards here that can be able to lifelink, such as Denic, and also ability of Jaren that can provides a target human you control lifelink. So it's a way to go with the combo with the Shanna and that setup. Also, we have 1 copy of Tolos. So Tolos is from New Capena, Telever Doctor with the Esper mana cost. It's a 3/1 that whenever it's level field, it connives. That is, you need to draw a card, discard a card. If you discard a non-land card, put a counter on this creature. Then whenever discard 1 or more cards, exile them from your graveyard. And then when Tolos dies, put those cards exiled into their owner's hand. So another way to replenish your hand by those trigger ability that if ever there are times that, for example, your opponent has Liliana of the Will in hand, and which lets you discard, then with the Tolos ability, they will just be exiled, and later on when Tolos dies, that those cards can return from the exile to your owner's hand. So 1 copy of that. That is the lineup for the third 3 mana cost in the deck. Now for the 4 mana cost, we have aggressive and counter, basically with Earthtide Resurrected and Hannah and Elena partners. So Earthtide is basically a counter and spot removal at the same time. It will just replace the destroyed creature or planeswalker or countered spell by its controller drawing a card. But since it has flash, basically also a good way to do some combat tricks and take out some of your opponent's best creature with this ability. Then we have 4 copies of Elena, which makes us very aggressive by turn 4 because there's the ability that in combat you can put counters on another creature you control where X is that the power, and then those creatures, that creature will gain haste, and at the same time would be a good attacker to curve out with the Hana and Elena. So example, we would go with turn 2 Denic, and example turn 3 Adeline, and then turn 4 Hana Elena would make, for example, Adeline or Denic +2/+2 counters, then it would become a 4/3. It's a 4/5 lifelink. That's very also a good deal. That is life. That is 8-point life swing with the addition of Hana and Elena's counters, and at the same time a very large creature to be dealt with on that curve. But not the least is our main star of this deck. We minds making it a 5-color deck because of Jodah Unifier. So legendary creatures you control gets plus X, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. So this pump will basically go curve you out and just attack for lethal on that setup. So it has also the ability that whenever you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary landlord with lesser mana value, and then you may cast that card without paying its mana cost, and then put the rest of the bottom of library in a random order. So with this setup, just more card advantage or card advantage as on top with Jodah the Unifier, with not only giving your legendary creatures pump with a 6+X equal to the number of legendary creatures you control, but also give you a gas as additional gas whenever you cast a legendary spell by having this ability. So 4 copies to making sure that you can curve out pretty well. I can imagine that when have this card by turn 5 or turn 4 earlier with Gwena's ability, or with also with Catilda's ability to have your humans add mana of any color. So that's basically the main line up for the main deck. So again, the mana fix are Plaza of Heroes, Skilled Courtyard 4 copies, and some of the try lands to do the fixing, also with Channel lands as utility. And for the sideboard, these are just pretty basic. We have 2 Destroy Evils for any enchantment or large creature shenanigans, Elspeth Splendid for gas, another copy of Earth Resurrected for another source of spot removal and counter spell, 2 knockout blows against mono red, since it will deal 2 damage to attacking or blocking. 4 damage, but it will cost 2 less if it targets a red creature. And 2 copies of Lagrera the Magpie for any exile effect, also that is also a legendary creature per se. 2 negates for mid-range and control decks. 2 copies of Rem Carolus Stalwart Slayer, that is this ability that if you spell, you would deal damage to your another permanent you control prevented damage. That's basically preventing burn decks, burn spells. If a spell will deal damage to an opponent or permanent opponent controls, it deals that damage +1. So also another option here, since he is also a legendary creature, that would also benefit our tribal human legendary lineup. And last but not the least is 3 copies of Tamiyo Safekeeping, to making sure that in addition to your spot removal protection with Talia, you can also have Tamiyo Safekeeping to make sure that your creatures would survive spot removals and destroy effects of your opponent. So I guess that's about it. The mana curve is 2.91. That is for 2 and 3 mana cost in the mana value. Color distribution is basically somewhat of the average because of the 5 colors. And interestingly, it goes with the green, red, and white. That is Naya as the main mana cost of your cards in the deck. So lastly, deck tokens that you can use. So I guess that's about it for this deck tech, which we call as the 5 color legends from Mr. Submitted deck on MTG Goldfish, and also reflected in the MTG Top 8 standard event. If you've tried this one, you can just let me know in the comments as what will be your assessment on how the deck would curve out well in the standard metagame format. That's about it, guys. Thank you for checking in this video. Until the next time, and see you in the next one.